All right, guys, we are back. I was on vacation. I'm looking as tan as ever, right? I mean, like
a couple shades darker.
And we've got a good pod. We've got UFC 294. We've got Islam Makhachev taking on Volkanovski for the second time in a very weird turn of events, with Charles Oliveira being cut and pulled out. And then we've got Kamaru Usman, who stepped in last minute after Paulo Costa got staph and his whole arm is like hanging off. He's fighting Chimaev. So before we get into the podcast, please, on YouTube, you guys, please subscribe to the channel. Please like the video, share, share us with your friends. You don't want us all to yourself. And then if you guys listen on Spotify or iTunes, share or download or whatever the heck you do on that to listen to podcasts as well. So hope you guys like the show, and we'll get going. Man, it was actually good. I went to Kauai. I've been to Hawaii a bunch.
Is that the one that's burnt like a pizza crisp?
Nope. This one is like microwave. So
beautiful.
It's not burnt. It's hot and humid, and the edges are a little crusty.
Just the way I like it.
It's like a microwave pizza. It was actually good. If you haven't been to Kauai, it's really quiet. There's not, of course, there's not a lot of people. There's not a lot of tourists there. But there also wasn't a lot to do there. I mean, well, because we've done all the Hawaii stuff. We go to Hawaii all the time. That's where we vacation. We've gone, swimming with the manta rays. We've gone on chartered fishing tours. We've gone whale watching. We've gone, snorkeling, hiking, everything that you can do, we've done. And so we didn't have a lot of stuff planned. So but the waves aren't huge at all of the beaches. They kind of break far out. So there's surfers, but the surfers are 500 yards out. And then, where me and my kids are on the shore, so they couldn't really like boogie board well. They couldn't do stuff like that. But there was piers that Lennox is doing backflips off of, and hiked up to waterfalls, and the kids are jumping in and doing stuff like that.
So one of the jokes, since pretty much I've known you, almost every vacation you've gone on, your son Lennox, who is hilarious, and we need to have Lennox on someday.
Lennox needs to be on.
Yeah, he always gets bit by something random. Like, you've sent me so many. First of all, guys, if you want, go on Santino's Instagram, scroll all the way down to the bottom. Yeah. There are some amazing gems of the kids, Lennox, Enzo, Lennox falling, slamming into a wall.
Yeah.
Great stuff. The Huff Puff Lawyer House down. But my favorite thing is him getting bit by random things.
By a squirrel.
Yeah, you guys were, the iguanas, you were in Florida.
The iguanas as well, yeah.
And he reached his hand out, got bit by the squirrel. So you told me he got bit by something, but not on camera. A bird?
Oh, yeah. So anyway, so he got...
It's like a moth to a flame. I've never been bit by a single animal my whole life.
So anyway, so the squirrel, anyways, years ago in the Keys, the Florida Keys. And you see me, he's like, Dad, can I pet the squirrel? I'm like, no, you can't pet the squirrel. And he goes to pet the squirrel.
First of all, what squirrel lets you pet?
Hey, in Florida, they do things differently. Not only the humans, but... So then he was bitten by a lizard. We've got a video of him where a lizard bit him, and he's like swinging it around, trying to get it off him. He got bit by a dog. He got bit by a rabbit. But then you asked, you're like, hey, did he get bit by anything on vacation? And I was like, no. But then I was wrong. I was like, oh, yeah, he did. There was this, they call him, I don't even know how to say them, nenes, Nene. It's a bird. It's like a goose. It's like a big kind of goose out in Hawaii. It's a Hawaiian bird. And they're protected. In the condo we were staying at, there was all of it was just like a courtyard. And I look out, and Lennox is sprinting back to the house, and there is a bird chasing him, like running, but then like jumping up and trying to you could tell it couldn't fly. There was an issue with it, like flapping its wings and like chasing him and like nipping at him. I don't know what that was about, but sure enough. And then every time he would go around it, that bird would chase him and just stop. The whole time we were there, they were trying to like avoid the bird who was attacking them. But yeah, Kauai was good. Kauai was awesome. So
you came back so pink,
so red. I'll be white again tomorrow.
I mean, you're white now a little bit.
So no, I'm still red. I mean, this is a shirt. That's actually not my skin.
Oh,
so I actually read something randomly when I got home on sunburn. It was like facts.com. If you guys don't follow facts.com on Instagram, do it. It's just random stuff, which is just mostly interesting. And it said, it was a picture of a guy who was all sunburned. And it said, the reason why we get sunburn is it's your cells destroying themselves and basically exploding before they become cancerous. So I was like, man, I have a lot of exploded cells on my body right now. One of them has got to be cancerous. Like
somewhere in there.
Like if I'm not going to take my shirt off.
I mean, it would make the podcast more
like,
interesting.
I am like beet red from the nose down. I mean, it's ridiculous. Except I have one streak across my stomach that I must have just been like sitting folded over. That's not a white streak. That just looks ridiculous. So, man.
White people are hilarious. Well, I'm fighting now.
Oh, you are fighting. Oh, yeah, wait, you fight?
I know. I'm a part-time fighter, full-time podcaster.
Yeah. Okay.
Mostly
so
unemployed.
You're basically like a poor man's KSI.
I just do this
Logan
on the. Yeah. I'm a poor man. We get 3,000 views, and it is what it is. Yeah, I'm super excited. So last week we had Evan fill in.
Who is Evan? So tell these guys. So I don't even know who Evan is.
Nobody knows who Evan is. Evan's like a weird dude. He used to just basically cyberbully me all the time. And so last week I said, hey, Santino's out. I need somebody to fill in. And the thing was, I liked Evan. I liked Evan. I liked his like takes on fights and everything like that. But then he just wanted to cyberbully me all the time. And some days I would just be like, I'd be having such a good day and I'd be like, what the fuck's this guy's problem? He's like 50 years old, cyberbullying a kid on Twitter. Like, fuck this guy.
Well, but you were probably trolling the shit out of
it. Certain times. Yeah, certain times.
Yeah,
I don't troll many people.
But when you troll hard.
I do it with my heart. Yeah, and then you know what? We had to break bread. He called me a pussy. I called him a pussy. And then we came to it, and then he came on the podcast, and he was a great. Well, he missed every pick, but other than that, he was awesome. He had great breakdowns. He tried to sabotage us. He was like a Trojan horse, and that was his big game, was to get in on the pod and then sound really smart, sound educated, do his film study, and then sink our viewers.
Yeah.
But it's okay. I still love him. And they called him Soy Sean Strickland, which I thought was hilarious.
I love Soy Sean Strickland. I can't even say it once, let alone 5 times fast.
No, real talk. I like Evan. Thank you, Evan, for coming on. He is an educated guy. I like talking to him.
We've got UFC. I never know the numbers here. 294. Makhachev versus Volkanovski. And it got way freaking better. Like, I mean, Chimaev, Paulo, that was actually going to be a bang. That was going to be fun.
Yeah, that would have been good.
But Makhachev, Oliveira, I don't know why. It was fine.
I thought that one would have been really good this time.
Really? See, I don't know. Oliveira to me, he's so hit and miss and shaky and stuff. And like, he didn't seem like he was ready mentally initially. And so then he took the time off. And then
that picture of him during the weight cut the first time was the funniest fucking picture. They
gosh.
Treated him like he was Jesus and they all stood around him. It was hilarious.
Crazy. But I like this card. Just a couple weird spots in terms of like, one, why are they doing this? And 2, betting. And some of the lines, I think, are way spread for how close I think some of these fights are going to be on the prelims for the most part. On the main card, I think it's whatever. I think it's pretty linear with that, and stuff is priced correctly. But the prelims, I think there's some weird stuff. So let's get going onto these prelims. What I've got here is Bruno Silva and, Sharabudin Magomedov. I can say Magomedov.
Oh, good job.
So, first of all, Magomedov, he looks like a Rumpelstiltskin leprechaun. Like, this dude, if you go back and watch his earlier fights and you see his earlier pictures, short hair, short red beard. Then as he progresses, longer red beard, long reddish moppish hair, and then his face underneath it, you barely see it. It looks like it's the face of somebody else. It looks like it's not his face. Like, it just looks so out of place. And you look at him and he reminds me, initially, you go to his Instagram.
That you're so grateful you have 2 eyes?
One, I'm grateful I have 2 eyes. But you go to his Instagram, look at his stuff, you look at the way he looks, and he looks like Ihor. Like those type, you know what I mean? Like the fake Russians that we've seen come into the UFC. And I'm like, I don't know about you. And then this record looks all padded. But then you go and watch him. The guy's actually pretty good. I actually really like his style. His movement, the way that he places, first of all, he's bouncing. non-stop. I couldn't jump rope for 15 minutes as much as that guy is just bouncing and bouncing and bouncing, and then mid-fight. Keeps his distance well, whips his low kick, he whips that left middle kick. His range is really good, his movement is really good. His hands aren't great, but when he throws them, they seem effective. And then he's got good knees and good elbows from the clinch as well. One thing he did on a few fights ago is he was backing up, drew the guy in, shot, but came up to a head and arm, but like a Muay Thai head and arm. Not like a headlock type stem.
Yeah.
Like came one arm ahead right into a knee. And I was like, man, that was really slick. His takedown defense is decent. He'll get back up. I like him. I want to not like him. I want to call him a fraud or think he is because of the weirdness and then that weird style of his. I like him. But then you got Bruno Silva, who's solid.
Yeah, he's good.
It's hard to believe that he's 4-3 in the UFC. His ground and pound is vicious.
He's had about the toughest path of anybody in the UFC.
Right? He really has. He's had a really tough path. He's got who was the most recent win?
Brad Tavares.
Brad Tavares, yeah. And that one, I think we all thought Tavares was going to end up beating Bruno just style-wise, and Tavares does so much stuff well. And Bruno just need him in the face and look good. The thing with Bruno is that his ground and pound is great. I don't know if he's going to get this fight to the ground and keep it there. And I was actually watching his last couple of fights back, and he kind of ducks his head, and I feel like he's gotten less technical in the last few fights.
I would agree. When he first came in, he was clean.
Yes. And now he's kind of ducking and looping everything and just kind of bullying his way in. And I don't think he's going to be able to do that with Magomedov. And I like, do you have the odds? Can you pull up the odds while I'm finishing talking? Because I don't have them up. But I think it could be a close fight. Magomedov is very he's questionable. He hasn't fought that top level of competition, which Bruno has. But I could see Magomedov getting the win. He's young. He's fast. He does everything well. We haven't really seen Bruno put together a great wrestling game plan since Pereira, who was still pretty shaky on his wrestling chops at the time.
Sorry, 1 second. Technical difficulties.
Okay. So anyway, I lean Magomedov on this, but Bruno Silva is good. He's phenomenal. I wouldn't call it a blowout. And honestly, as a dog, if you're just like, hey, there's a few good dogs on this card that could land. And Bruno Silva, I think, as a dog is, unless it's against a Pereira or something like that, he's always a solid.
I love Bruno more than he's one of my favorite guys. I don't think he's winning here. And like you said, I've seen this guy. First of all, Sean Bitter, awesome guy.
Who's that?
So Sean Bitter is the dude, MMA wizard. I shouted him out, I don't know 5 shows ago or something. And then he messaged me and he's like, dude, I actually got a lot of people heading over to my Patreon because of your show. Good. I love pumping him up. You always see him his tweets on the UFC, when they're fighting. His Patreon is $5 a month, and it's all prospects all the time. The dude works so hard, and now he can gamble, so he's giving gambling advice. So nice. $5, MMA Wizard. Go check out his Patreon. I'll plug it every chance I get. He's been high on Share a Bullet for a long time. He loves the dude. I was excited to go into tape because he's one of the few guys on this card I didn't really know. Yeah. And what I found is he's solid. Everything you said, he's solid. He's legit. I think he's probably going to win this fight pretty clearly and decisively. Kick heavy game, not a lot of hands. So my favorite play on this one is the over 1.5. The line is set at over 1.5, and it's -125 for the over. I like that play. I think Bruno's tough, hasn't been knocked out. The dude is just clean. If he does grapple, okay, even better for the over. I think Sharabola gets it done. Nice kicks, good movement, good range.
Phenomenal cardio for the way that he fights.
I thought his cardio was going to be horrible just seeing his build.
Yeah.
And then weirdly, when I watched him actually fight, his build looked a little bit smaller than his pictures do. But yeah, he fights great for his frame. So I like Share Bullet. It's already late in the week, so the line is toasty. But I like that over 1.5.
Okay. Next up, we have Jinyu Frey and Victoria Dudakova.
Okay.
And hold on. Before you even go, I got to specifically say that I did this because I wanted to hear your thought, and I did watch tape on all of this, so I will give my thoughts. But I went with Bruno in that fight first, so you would be second because I want to hear your thoughts first.
On Jin Frey?
Yes, on this whole thing.
I'll keep this super short. I love Jin. I talk about Jin every time Jin fights, and it's been a lot recently. Jin's fine. Jin's solid. Jin's fine. She does fundamentals correctly. She wrestles when she wants to. Her striking is clean and it's sharp. It's just slow. And she's slow and she's old. And when she gets on top, she doesn't do much. There's not. I mean, what's her record at this point? What is she?
She's 11-9. She's like 2-5 in the UFC.
Yeah, she's 11-9, 2-5 in the UFC, and she lost to Kay Hansen. Like at a certain point, we have to call a spade a spade. I made like 14 grand on her over Ashley Yoder, but it's Ashley Yoder. Yeah. Everybody else she's lost against, and I constantly hit the well. Constantly hit it, and she continues to let me down. So why would it be any different here? I get the money line is crazy, whatever, but Dudakova's fine. Like her striking is aggressive. It's in your face. She's not the best anywhere, but she just doesn't quit. And she does something where Jin does nothing. She constantly is doing nothing. And I think the size difference is going to be a lot here. I think it's going to be significant. We forget that Jin was a straw weight. Atom weight.
Atom weight. And then she moved up.
Yeah, she put on a little bit of muscle, but her frame's still that of kind of an atom weight. Where Dudakova looks big.
Dudakova looks tall.
Whereas
Jin looks very short.
Yeah. I like Dudakova, and if this is any consolation, guys, I used to have dreams all the time about fights. And I would have a big parlay. I put a couple thousand on this guy, and then I'd go to sleep the night before, and, I was like, all right, I'm so excited. And then I would have a dream that they lost. And you can ask anybody who's been with us for a long time. These dreams were almost 100% accurate. It could be a minus 1,000 favorite, a minus 900 favorite, last leg in the parlay, it would lose almost every single time I had a dream about it. I'd get a pit in my stomach. Well, guys, my dream on this one is Dudakova submission. That's what it is.
Okay.
Dudakova submission, lock it in. That's 1,000 units.
Has Dudakova ever submitted anyone?
No clue. I'm just telling you what the dream was.
So here's the thing. Like, I get Dudakova as the ace I do. So I get that. The spread on this is crazy to me because her striking is not very good. She just like rushes in and blitzes, which
it's fine.
I disagree. I think it's very rudimentary at best.
But for women's MMA, it's effective.
No, she blitzes in and like rabbit punches so she can shoot. She just wants to shoot. She just wants to shoot. And the thing with that is Jin. You said Jin does nothing. She actually does something when people throw at her. And when Vanessa Demopoulos was with us, we fought Jin Frey. And originally, the fight was like, hey, let's press, push her back, and then shoot. And then I was watching, there's somebody that Jin fought, was fighting before Vanessa, and it was like a week or two before Vanessa. And, we had a podcast. And so for some reason, when I was originally looking at film, all right, this is what we're going to do. We're going to press, push her up against the fence. We're going to wrestle. And then I was watching it again. She only counter strikes. If you don't go first, she has no idea what to do. And so I told Vanessa, I said, hey, we're not going first. We're not pressing. Like, we're actually going to sit back. We're going to feint and move away and feint and move away. And then it worked. Jin didn't throw, and then Vanessa would feint, move away, and Jin would try and throw, and we'd be gone. And Vanessa won that fight.
That's so crazy. Game planning actually worked.
Game planning works.
Weird.
Game planning works. So the thing is, and if you watch all of Jin Frey's fights, she doesn't go first. And if you do nothing, she will stand there and stare at you until you throw. And then she'll try to counter. Her wrestling, when she times it well, it's good. If you stop her first shot, she doesn't know how to chain wrestle and can't get it down. So her cage wrestling is actually not great offensively, but defensively, she's decent. Thing with Dudakova, she will lat drop girls right in the mount. And she's done it numerous times. And we've seen her go for these head and arm throws and these bad takedowns and end up on her back. And then we've seen her get taken down. And so I am not wowed by Dudakova at all. The thing is, Jin Frey is strong and durable, has good defense, and she could throw her down. The issue is she has bad fight IQ. Jinyu Frey is on top and doesn't punch at all. She took Elise Reed down and then stood up and let her back up. Then she didn't wrestle her until the third round. She makes really bad decisions. And so I gotta say Dudakova wins because she has fight in her.
She hustles more.
Yes.
She gives a little more hustle.
And she was just going to try to win for 15 minutes, whereas Jinyu Frey will
try not to lose.
She'll try not to lose. But, and here's the but, if Dudakova does dumb stuff and grapples and just ends up on her back enough, I could see a freaking crazy world where we're all going, what the hell happened here? So for me, I would say, like, I don't know if I would touch it because I'm not sold. If Dudakova was a little bit of a better wrestler, or if she didn't do dumb stuff to end up on her back as much as she does, I would say go for it. But she does enough dumb stuff against a stylistically strong defensive wrestler where she could end up on her back and just like.
Well, maybe she hits a triangle off her back. Maybe that's what the dream was telling me.
Maybe she does. All right, next up we have Nathaniel Wood and Mohamed Naimov. And this is another one that I think Nathaniel Wood last I looked was minus 350. And I get it. Nathaniel Wood is better everywhere. All right. Nathaniel Wood is legitimately good. He's striking is good. His pocket work is good. His offensive wrestling is decent. It's okay. It's not amazing, but defensively he defends kind of well. And then when he does get taken down, he scrambles. He has good cardio. I love his trips. I love little foot sweeps into elbows, the knees, everything. Naimov doesn't do anything. He just is super stiff, and he just stands there and turns, and he gets hit, and he wants to unload that big right hand or the big kick. Defensively, his takedown defense is decent. He gets back up. We've seen him on the Contender Series and stuff earlier where he gasses out, but I don't think that's an issue now. I think the nerves are better. But he's just so stiff, and he's so hittable with stuff right down the middle. Now, what worries me is, I'll keep this somewhat short, is, like, again, Nathaniel Wood is just better everywhere. But, man, Naimov is big. He's just a big, thick, strong dude. And I know we were wondering if Andre Fili was going to big brother Nathaniel Wood, and he kind of did at moments, but Nathaniel Wood did enough to scramble out. But they both, Fili hurt Wood, and if Naimov clips him, I think he's probably going to hit harder than Fili.
I think so too.
And probably hurt him if he does. So I think Wood is the better fighter here, but I don't feel like he ever grew into that 145-pound weight class. He's so little, and I think Wood wins just by being that much better on a technical level. But man, the size and the power of Naimov scare me here.
I'm with you 100%. So, I mean, just talking about it, his size, he reminds me of C-Rod in the fact that why the hell would C-Rod ever be a featherweight? It doesn't make any sense to me because he's about a half an inch to an inch shorter than I am. And he's a little thick around the waist, but he's not much thicker than me. And I would never in my wildest dreams fight featherweight.
35, let alone.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
And, say what you want about his. First of all, it's been fun just going online with the trolls on that whole thing. I'm like, as a friend, you got to hold your friend accountable, obviously, right? Hey, idiot, make weight. But then I'm like, well, Cam still accepted the fight. It just is what it is. All they can do is fight. And they're like, well, he had more gas in the third. I'm like, 30-27 them. It is what it is.
What do you want?
What do you want? But anyways, I think Nathaniel Wood's in that same category. It's like, but he's shredded. I mean, Nathaniel Wood is legitimately shredded. But what's going on with his weight cut that he can't continue to make 35? Because he's not a big guy.
Yeah.
He's such a small 45er. It worries me. And
is it a Frankie Edgar situation where he's just that good? Which
he's good.
He's good. I don't know if he's Frankie Edgar at 155 winning world titles good. Like, is he going to beat Volk? I mean, when Volk's 50.
I don't know. Even then, I don't know. I mean, Nathaniel's legitimately good. His chin is a concern. His chin is a concern. That's it. His chin is a concern. He's got all the skills in the world. If he feels like he's game at 45, I'm sure he's had enough rounds with 45ers to make that decision and say, okay, I'm good with this. I like him to win here, but the price is out of hand. It's not feeling right to me.
And that's what I'm saying. I thought the Jinyu fight should be a little bit closer on the on the price because of what I said. And this one too at minus 350.
Yeah, it's not good. So what you're gonna have to do is find but I don't even know how this fight plays out really because Naimov has always shown cardio problems. I would say I guess Nathaniel Wood round 2, round 3 props.
Or maybe just the fight doesn't go the distance. If you just want to bet this.
But I could see it going the distance too.
Yeah. Because maybe Wood's just not big and strong enough to put him away.
I have no idea how this one goes. I think Nathaniel Wood wins. Naimov obviously always dangerous. Maybe that's a good play that you could do is Naimov finish only, but I mean, you could also get finished.
Yeah, Wood, I don't know. It just is a weird one.
Pass for me. Nathaniel Wood wins, but pass.
Okay, and Shul, Jubli, and Mike Breeden.
Okay. Another one to me that's super, super wide.
Yeah.
And not for anything. I think Jubli's skills legitimately are very good, but constantly over time, he's always shown cardio problems. Huffing and puffing big time. But God, I mean, Breeden is Breeden. Breeden went life or death with a 40-year-old Nick Compton. Not a great look. I mean, he's gotten washed in every single fight. I think people keep thinking that he's going to Homer Simpson somebody one day. Eventually he'll do it. But he just doesn't react well to punches. He just doesn't have the skills to do it. UFC's breaking into a big market. I like Jubli's jab and his low kicks and his striking in general. I think is pretty solid. Man, I guess I can kind of understand how you get to a Breeden bet. Oh, he'll outlast him and he'll take over late. But even then, I think that Jubli can do 9 minutes of damage and win this fight. So I got Jubli.
Yeah, Jubli, if you looked at Jubli in his road to the UFC finals fight, he looked bad. I actually thought he looked really bad. He death gas cardio. He's so heavy on that lead leg, was just getting kicked. Super stiff, just really bad. If you look at his fights earlier than that on the road to UFC, he actually looked better. More fluid, a little bit more comfortable, and he didn't gas as badly.
He looked good against Jeka.
Who's that?
That was it. Oh, wait, was that the road to UFC one that you said? That was the finals
one. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
See, I thought he looked really bad in that, and till he won, and that was only because his opponent was really a 35er fighting at 55 when he cut weight, and kind of gassed out with him. He got the trip. Once he got the trip, he ended up mounted, and that was good. But in round 1, I thought Jubli did not look great, and I thought he looked very pedestrian. But again, you go back in his other fights, and he looks better. Now, that was 10 months ago, 8 months ago. I think that was February of this year. I'm assuming the UFC and everyone is going to be pushing for him to do well because they want to move into Indian market. I mean, that's the largest market in the world right now. I think they have a larger population than China at this point.
Do you think every Indian's going to get in the cage with him?
Yes.
All right. Well, then say no more.
So I think he's going to look better. I think he's out at Bali, MMA, doing stuff there. He's not in India. He's going to be getting good looks coming in and out. They've got some decent coaches there. I think he's going to look a lot better than he has looked. The issue in this is what I worry about. Breeden is Breeden. He's a very decent regional fighter. And
who does he remind me of? He kind of reminds me of a Cody Brundage.
He's better than Cody Brundage.
Come on. Come on.
Anyway, get Cody out of my... Keep Cody out your mouth.
Friend of the show.
So the thing is with Breeden is with Jubli, does he death gas? Because that road to the UFC, I think that was adrenaline. And he has the whole weight of the Indian world on his shoulders right now.
Pay-per-view, biggest one of the year.
And think about it. That fight was at the apex with nobody around. And now all of a sudden he's fighting in Abu Dhabi on a pay-per-view, the biggest one of the year with a crowd. So if he looks bad, look, Jubli should win. But you guys, you have your bets ready. At the end of round 1, if he looks death gassed, slam Breeden, because that's a Homer Simpson one that I could see. And Breeden is better than all of Jubli's other opponents.
He is. I get it. So that's what I'm saying. I understand how you get to that bet. Again, this line is so wide to me that it's what's the risk versus reward? And lately I've just been trying to weed out any guys that I just even remotely think are going to death gas and let me down later. This is the kind of stylistic matchup that I just hate the most. But Breeden is just such a weenie. I don't know.
He is. So anyway, that's that. Next up, we have Cedric. We have Dumas against Azaitar. And you're going to go on this. So before we go, I'm watching Dumas tape. And I see that he loses to Josh Fremd in decisions, Cody Brundage. And I'm watching Dumas, and I'm like, oh, man, he's going to get murdered. And then I watch Abu, and I was like, oh, my gosh. These are two horrible fighters. So anyway, tell us about this fight. Tell me your thoughts.
I mean, God, Dumas is Dumas, right? He smokes a lot of weed. I actually didn't hate his early tape. And I remember everybody being on him so much for every time he fights, it's like, it's news.
Oh, really? It's chatter?
It's serious.
What? I'm so oblivious to all news.
I just feel like I need to get some more face tattoos. Oh, I got a neck tattoo.
Oh, yeah, you got a neck tattoo. You did.
I had to go full criminal just to really embrace, like, lean into the role.
Yeah. But now that's almost like the cool thing to do. Like, that's the trendy cool thing
honestly,
to do.
barrier to entry these days is a Rolex and a neck tattoo.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to fit in.
So I'm going to leave because I don't have either. So I'm leaving my own house.
I just, he's like, you just get a ton of tattoos and some dreadlocks, and then you're like, you're cool.
That's it. You're a rapper.
You're a rapper. Smoke a lot of weed and just talk some shit. I actually liked his early tape. Like, he's just hyper aggressive. He grappled decently well for what I thought. Like, I know black guys in jiu-jitsu don't really mix a lot of the time. Purple belt, I don't know. He was fine. He was solid. Good hips. Hits hard as hell. I mean, he was just super, super active. And Abu is technically a fine striker. He's an okay striker. The cardio, I guess, was a problem. And
big problem.
Yeah, and Dumas is just like the little engine that could. Like, he just won't stop. And if this were a one-round fight, I'd probably take Abu. But because it's 3 rounds, I think Dumas is going to probably put it on him late. Even Marc-Andre Barriault, when he was fighting Abu, got a little bit tired. And he does get tired with guys, too. It's not, people always want to build up his cardio like it's the most amazing thing in the world. And it's like, He drags people with him.
He drags people into deep water and drowns them first.
Yeah. So I think Dumas probably is going to have better cardio than that, and he's going to be willing to put it on him late. So for me, I like Dumas. I mean, I'm just going to say this on every fight. I don't love the price, but I'd probably take a Dumas KO. I think that would be a good spot.
Yeah, Dumas is tall, skinny, fast. His striking is not great, but it's getting better. And he's just awkward. He doesn't really look amazing anywhere, but he does have a lot of experience. And Abu's 5'9". He's 5'9", and he's 36 years old, and he fought Barriault 2-3 years ago. And then before that, he didn't fight for 2 or 3 years. So honestly, the experience side is going to be on Dumas right now.
And that's crazy to say, but it is true.
It's crazy to say. But Abu has fought once in 5-6 years, and Dumas has been fighting. And that a lot is to be said for that. There's something about staying consistently in the cage with that comfort level. And he's young, and I think his will to win is, it sounds dumb, but you get cardio, speed, athleticism, age, and then there's just some of those guys that just know how to win. I think it's Dudakova. I think all technical aspects go to Jinyu Frey, but you have age, you have cardio, and you have will to win. And I think Dudakova finds a way to win, and I think that's Dumas here too. So
honestly, hustle factors over a lot of that stuff.
Yes.
And in those two matchups, Dudakova's got the hustle, Dumas got the hustle, and the other two don't.
Yeah. The thing that worries me about Abu is with Dumas really is Abu. I remember him being on the bottom in one of his first UFC fight. And then all of a sudden he just stood up and took the guy down. I was like, oh my gosh, like he actually can wrestle. He actually can do stuff. He just chooses to swing and strike like crazy. But I think Dumas, being as long and as gangly as he is, I think will find his way on top more. Find his way on top, or if Abu's on bottom trying to come up and trying to do something like that, they'll end up neutral standing. So, yeah, I think we're in agreement. We're in agreement.
We're just picking every favorite, you guys.
Yep. So, Javid Basharat, Victor Henry.
Me or you?
I guess I'm up. This is a close fight. I like this fight. Javid's a big favorite. But man, Victor Henry's style, first of all, he doesn't get tired. And if you look at who Javid has fought, he fought 3 tired people. Let me see.
Honestly, Nate Manez finishing Mendoza. Yeah, you did. Nate Manez finishing him and Javid not. Bad look in hindsight.
Well, it is, but it was also a weight class down. And we said we didn't know how Mateus was going to react a weight class down. We knew how Manus was playing.
He all of a sudden thought he was Ryan Hall with the leg locks.
And man, you told me, you're like, you've got a thing for Manus. And I'm telling you, Manus.
You do have a thing for Manus, but I understand why.
He's good. And I think he's good. And I think he doesn't get the credit he deserves. And I think he's a tough guy that, wins. But so he beat Mateus. Beat Tony Gravely, which so did Victor Henry, and he beat Trevin Jones. I mean, those are his UFC wins.
5 stars good.
And on the other side with Victor Henry, he's 2-1 in the UFC. He's got a win over Gravely, split decision, lost a decision to Rafael Assunção, and beat Raoni Barcelos. Victor doesn't get tired. He does a really good job of actually feinting in and out and playing that tease game and drawing people in. He peppers a lot, and then we'll find, mixes everything in well. Hands, kicks, like everything you can imagine, he mixes it in well. His takedown defense is decent, but he will, if he does get taken down, sometimes stay there a little bit too long on the bottom before he starts working up. And then you have Javid, who is kind of, not, I don't want to say he's untested in the UFC, because he's not. He just hasn't fought the best competition. But Javid's movement is great. And his footwork is great, and he only throws straight punches. He does not. I don't think he knows what a hook is. It's ones and twos down the middle. Actually, if you look at Henry, Raoni in the first part of that first round, ones and twos down the middle, was sniping him with that. And the other thing with Javid is he'll mix in his wrestling. And he will, and I think that's the difference in this. I think there's 2 differences in this fight. One, I think Javid will mix in the wrestling, and that alone is going to score some points. But both of these guys do a really good job of being on their back foot, walking backwards, drawing people in. And this to me is Dominic Cruz versus Cody Garbrandt. Dominic Cruz is so good at drawing people in, getting and leaving his face there, and then moving away as you swing at him, and then he's turning and moving and angling and this and that. Cody dominates dominant. And Cody sat there and didn't go on the front foot, wasn't the offensive. He was sitting back and feinting and drawing Dominic in, and he matadored the matador. And I think that's what's going to happen here with Javid and Victor Henry. I think it's going to be a very close fight, but I think Victor Henry is so used to people pressing him a certain way, and I think Javid is not going to press that same way. And I think Victor is going to have the issues more so than Javid is going to have the issues.
I thought you were going to go the other way on that.
No.
I thought you were going to say the opposite.
No, but I do think it's going to be a very, very close fight. And I wouldn't be surprised to see Victor win round 1, just with in his face and the volume and the pressure, and then Javid start to put it on. So I do like Javid here. I like the over on this, and I think it's actually a very close fight, and I think it's going to be a very entertaining fight.
To me, it's the grappling that makes all the difference here. Striking wise, I think they're both solid. I love Victor Henry's style. I mean, seeing what he did to my hero Raoni was, it was honestly heartbreaking. It was devastating. Javid is amazing. I think Javid's one of the best guys in the whole division. He's just incredible. But I honestly think the wrestling is going to be the big difference. All the pre-UFC stuff that we saw on Victor Henry, takedown defense had always been his thing. I think it's a lot better now than it has been. And first of all, I do have to say this too. Chad George, his coach, is outside of you, he's my favorite coach right now in the country. I think the CMMA guys are really, really solid. But sometimes the things that annoy me is just too much jiu-jitsu. Too much. I want to talk about the catch wrestling shit and all the locks and stuff. Stop. Like, Victor Henry is really, really good. If he just would stand up like Chad George would tell him to do, I think he'd be so much better. But honestly, I think this is going to be 3 rounds of Victor Henry playing guard and Javid on top, passing him, beating him up. The striking is super close, but like you said, I like Javid striking a lot better. I think he's longer and sharper and cleaner than Raoni was, and he's willing to match the volume too. But for me, it's going to be 3 rounds of guard play on Victor Henry while Javid's on top, passing, beating him up. That's all I see.
Okay. All right. Next up, Trevor Peek, Mohamed Yaya.
God, okay. I like this one, actually. So I got to shout out.
It's going to be a fun fight.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun fight. I got to shout out Pierce on this one. So he told us about a week ago, maybe a week and a half ago, he goes, guys, get on Trevor Peek now. The line's going to run. His opponent sucks. And I'm like, all right, I trusted the bird. A couple $1,000. I said, you have it. And if not, you're going to find your house, which I already know where he lives, and you're dead. And that's it. I like Trevor Peek here. As crazy as that sounds, the dude, he impressed the hell out of me. I picked against him every single fight. I thought Mariscal was going to just run through him, and I couldn't have been more surprised with how that fight played out. Like, literally just could not finish him. The guy wouldn't die. Big, giant blockhead, just staying in your face. And then, I only watched one fight of Yaya. The dude was terrified when somebody pressed him. You can tell when somebody's like, engaged in a fight and ready to be there. And you can tell when they get the really wide eyes, like, what the hell is happening? And that guy was pressing him, and his eyes were just no good. And that guy was fine, but Peek's just tough and big and annoying and just going to hit you with hammer fists from standing. I like Trevor Peek here.
America.
I
actually think these guys are very similar. It's one of them's like the Middle Eastern version of the other. And I didn't see that Yaya was like afraid of stuff. I see him as just swinging and being untrained well. Like, he's just not a clean.
Yeah.
It's like when you swing and you're just not comfortable doing it. But when he does swing, he'll just swing haymakers and go. But I think the American barbecue Trevor Peek's chin is going to be stronger. I think he's a little more technical. I think his grappling is better. I think, it sounds crazy, but I think his cardio is better.
Yeah, just his dog. The fact that he could not cardio, I mean, he did death gas, but like was still there for 3 rounds.
And he took some shots from Chimaev and wore him well. Whereas Yaya took some shots and got dropped. And so, dude, I'm on the peak train here. I'm going Peek. I'm going America.
Peak performance.
Peak performance over here. I hope he wins. Man.
We need to get one dub in Abu Dhabi.
It's going to be a fun fight. All right, Tim Elliott and Mokaev. This is a weird one to me. This is, because we saw Tim Elliott and Tagir.
We want to get some waters in the podcast room here.
At this point, it's probably not looking likely.
Okay, all right.
Like, I don't think we have anybody to bring water to us. The kids are asleep, and my wife, I'm not like.
All right, fair enough.
I'm not slaving some wife over here. I'll get beat on. I don't need those problems.
Maybe I can run in while you're breaking down.
Maybe you can't. It's all that weed you're smoking is giving you cotton mouth. So Tim Elliott, Mokaev. Elliott has the way to beat everyone. I mean, he's the most awkward, weird human on the planet. And watch how many times they say, look, he's awkward. Even his social media handle is awkward, MMA. Wait for it. See how long, that's the bet, is like, how long will it take for them to actually say that on the broadcast? Because I watched like 10 Tim Elliott tapes today. Every freaking time. Even his Instagram handle's awkward. But he legitimately is awkward. But his striking is weird. But his striking is all just a setup for the wrestling. None of it. He doesn't hurt anybody with it. He shovels and whatever. He's not going to hurt anyone with it. He tries to break people with it. He's going to wrestle a lot. And honestly, though, I think originally I'm thinking about Tagir, and I'm looking at some of his other fights, and I'm like, gosh, he could beat Mokaev, because we've seen Mokaev in bad positions. I was watching that Malcolm fight back. Mokaev was winning that fight. Like, I don't know why. And I didn't see that fight live. I just remember people saying, oh, he was losing. He got the armbar in the 3rd round. And then
no, they were losing. He was losing everyone's bets because he didn't finish him so early.
Oh, is that what it was? Okay,
yeah.
Okay.
He had clearly won the fight, but everyone had inside the distance, and they were pissed the hell off.
Okay.
Yeah.
And he looked good. Mokaev looks good. The thing is, and if you look at Tim Elliott, his loss is to Mateus Nikolai recently. Who just really just stepped back and outstruck him and then out-scrambled him. But I think Mokaev is going to happily scramble with him. And he's fast, and he's going to scramble, and he can wrestle, and he's going to attack the neck. And Elliott doesn't sit in the guard and pull his head out. He's going to roll through. There's going to be a lot of scrambles. I like Mokaev here, but I actually could see him getting a TKO or a KO. His striking has looked better and better and better since he first got into the UFC, and he's getting more comfortable with it. And he throws more head kicks, but he throws a lot of knees. And Tim Elliott, the way that he rolls and moves and bobs, I mean, I could absolutely see Mokaev finding a guillotine as well. So I like Mokaev inside the distance, is what I should say. So if you like Mokaev, I would say Mokaev inside the distance because I think that Elliott has the style to put his neck or his head where Mokaev will find it. So yeah, I like Mokaev.
You know what's funny is like I've been the biggest Mokaev hater.
So have I.
Yeah,
and everything. I'm like, he's not good. He's fake.
And each time we've been proven right.
He's gotten better.
No, but we've been proven right each time because against Jafel Filo, right? He almost got his knee busted. Against Malcolm, he had some tough moments. Like he's had some adversity in the octagon. It's not been perfect, and each time we're like, kind of, he's just gotten better. And like you said, I actually went into this going like, how can I find a way for Tim Elliott, right? Wrestling is Mokaev's whole thing. And Tim Elliott, he's a wrestler. So it should be good. And he's a veteran and he does all kinds of crazy stuff. And then I was watching his striking and I went, Tim Elliott's going to be one of those really good underdogs, those juicy underdogs that you're like, yeah, I can see it. And it's probably going to get knocked out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like Mokaev striking. It's just come a long way. He's younger. You're right. He's willing to hang on you. This is going to remind me of every Movsar Evloev fight where he doesn't pin somebody down. It's just constantly like going and just scrambles nonstop. And that's kind of how I see this, exactly like you said. But I like Mokaev striking here. I wouldn't feel as comfortable as on the inside the distance, but I think Mokaev is going to win clearly here. Maybe cardio is a concern, and I have no idea. I just think that Mokaev's cleaner, sharper, younger. He's leveled up a ton. I like him here.
Yeah. All right, Sednar Magomedov and Moyen Gafarov. You're up.
This is an interesting one. I've always been high on Saeed. First of all, the most handsome Russian I've ever seen in my life.
I think he looks like an Amish Russian.
Yeah, but it's like one of those homeless people. Like you take them in and like give them a shower for the day, and like you clean them up, and you're like, damn, like
whoa, like that's what's going on under all that dirt.
Oh my god, he looks so good. Yeah, like his eyes are piercing. He's very handsome, and Gafarov's complete opposite. The guy's ugly. He's hard to look at. He's a troll, and he's hairy everywhere.
He's a big patch of hair on his back.
Nothing like this has to do with their fighting at all. I like Saeed. I've always been really high on Saeed. He's the one guy we said we're okay with him spinning because his spins are actually effective and they're clean, and he knows
looks
why.
Like a ballerina out there.
He's clean.
He's twirling.
After my own heart, he does front chokes, and I love front chokes. I think he's good. He manages range well. He does a lot of things well, and Gafarov is almost the opposite. He's a complete ape. Comes in swinging wide, goes for takedowns that he knows he can't finish, or if he does, he can't hold you down, and he does everything like just crazy, hectic. And weirdly, I could see this probably being a close fight. I could see Gafarov pressing him, swinging bombs, not caring. I know cardio is always going to be the big thing that everyone talks about, but remember how tired Saeed was in the
was it Barcelos fight?
No, the Saeed Yukub fight.
Well, Kakramanov went at him like a crazy.
Oh, you mean like Gafarov's going to do?
Yeah, but Kakramanov is such a better grappler. And is so much more effective with that.
I know. I understand. I guess, just like looking at everything.
Saeed by submission, guys.
You think he's going to hit another little fronty?
Or a front choke, guillotine, rear naked.
Are you just naming every submission that you know?
Darts,
flying, Gomo, buggy choke.
Yeah. Inverted triangle to a guillotine. I think said inside the distance, I could see a spinning anything. But I like
overthinking this one.
No, I think so. I think he's so Gafarov. How do you even say that? Gafarov is such an ape. He's gonna just maul his way in there right into a choke.
All right, pretty baby Saeed. I guess it is.
Yeah, pretty baby Saeed. Who's up? I didn't tape this one. Ikram, Aliskerov, and Warley Alves. I don't know why I didn't. So I got nothing. But you guys, I gotta go. This is right in the middle, so nobody's gonna see it. I'm gonna go Jinyu Frey, you guys. I'm going on a limb.
Are you switching? All right, Jinyu Brian, XBL on Twitch. Yep. Mark it up.
I'm going Jinyu Frey for the big upset because Dudakova is just gonna pull a lat drop, pull her right in a mount. So watch her do that 3 times and still win. But if nothing else, I think that's our parlay buster.
I'm pretty annoyed at this fight. Is that 185? Because I like Warley Alves. I like Warley.
Do you though, or do you like the ghost of Warley Alves?
I don't know. I like Warley. I might like the ghost of Warley Alves. I don't like Ikram. And Ikram is probably going to be my new Benoit Saint Denis, where I'm going to pick against him every time, and he's constantly going to win. I just don't like him. I think he's...
Warley Alves lost a split decision to Nicholas Dahl.
Everyone loses to Nicholas Dalby.
I know, that guy won't.
He keeps winning.
Benoit Saint Denis.
I've tried and tried and tried. He's probably going to beat the freaking Bonfim brother, too, in Brazil.
He just won't die. He won't go away.
I mean, maybe I'm overthinking this one. I guess from 170 up to 185 is a lot tougher than I accounted for. I like Warley. I think Warley has skills. Warley throws nice body kicks. His striking is pretty good. Dalby, the thing that's really annoying about him is he's just constant volume. He never stops throwing stuff.
Is Warley gonna be on that new anti-USADA EPO?
But that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I'm thinking. Warley at 185 on the good stuff. Ikram, I don't think he has the best cardio. I don't think his striking is the best. Honestly, I'd say Warley's striking is a lot more explosive. It is. He's got good guillotines.
I feel like there's not as much EPO coming out of the Russian Caucasus as there is out of Brazil right now.
Not as much in Florida. The Brazil seems to have the shipment. They must have had the pirates steal the ship because
Florida and Brazil found they got.
Yeah, man, this is tough. I'm gonna say Warley just to be a little bit different.
Okay.
For me, realistically, I'm gonna pass on this fight. I just am not an Ikram believer. He's gonna be my Benoit Saint Denis. I'm gonna bet against him every time, or I'm gonna just think he loses. He's probably gonna keep winning, and then they're gonna set up a rematch with Hamzat and all this stuff. But I'm gonna go Warley.
Okay. See, I feel like we're on all of the favorites on this. And
somebody got to lose.
Yeah, and so who are the favorites that are most likely to lose?
Let me take a gander.
I think it could be Rumpelstiltskin Magomedov fighting Bruno Silva. I think that's one that could, Bruno Silva could always. I don't think he will, but I think that's a strong possibility of an upset.
Jubli,
I think that's a 51%, 49% at that point.
Dumas is always a liability to lose.
Dumas is a liability. Let's see. Javid, I don't see it. I mean, Trevor Peek maybe gets caught, but I just think Trevor Peek is the better fighter. I think Mokaev. I think it's the undercard fights that we're going to see some of the upsets. Dumas, Abu, Jubli, Breeden, Jinu Frey, Dudakova for me. I don't think you're on that with me. But and then Bruno
I saw it
Silva,
in the prophecy.
Magomedov. So
hey, if Dudakova wins by submission, I'm gonna send you guys my PayPal.
You heard it. All right, we've got Ankalaev and Johnny Walker, and man, Johnny Walker has gotten less dumb. I think Johnny Walker's jiu-jitsu is actually good. His jiu-jitsu is actually good. He does a lot of the right stuff when he gets taken down. We see that with Anthony Smith. We see it with Cutelaba getting taken down, coming back up, doing all the right stuff. The thing that gets me is standing. He's too stiff and he's too square, and everything comes so wide. And Ankalaev's jab down the middle is so freaking good. He could take down a redwood tree, I think, if he wanted to, when he times it well. And Johnny Walker's huge too. Johnny Walker's a big guy.
A
redwood. But I think Johnny Walker's good. I think his cardio isn't quite that bad. I think it's fine for a big guy and being as explosive as he is. I like his creativity. I love his elbows. I like him punching in these random things. I just don't see Ankalaev losing to Johnny Walker. He's that good. His jab is good. He's super clean. His cardio is good. He makes the right decisions. He's not going to get taken down. If he does, he's getting back up. He's a guy who's going to be fighting for the title again soon. And I like Ankalaev. My only thing is, do I like him by a finish or by decision? And I kind of teeter back and forth with that. I think the smart thing is probably a decision, but I would not be surprised to see him put Johnny Walker out.
I don't know. Johnny Walker, it was funny. I was talking the other day about like the crazy submissions, like the two-handed submissions and like this highlight reel that we should put together. We should also add every single one of Johnny Walker's knockout losses where he springs and he's like a frog leg. Like you chop off the frog leg and you put it in the pan and it keeps twitching. It's hilarious. Like he's unconscious. Ding. Yeah. Hilarious. Onk is powerful. He's big. He's super clean. He's a striking Russian that can wrestle. Like I love him everywhere this fight goes.
Do you think it's a knockout?
Yeah, I think it's a knockout.
Okay, yeah.
I think it's going to be a knockout. He'll probably take Johnny Walker down and then start beating him up on the ground.
A lot of them. Yeah, I like that. All right, man. We've got the co-main event, 10 o'clock at night over here.
Good God.
We've got Usman, Chimaev. Let me hear your thoughts on two giant welterweights fighting up a weight class at middleweight.
Yeah, so this card, you said it kind of leveled up and it got better. I agree 100%, right? Usman's got the star power. He's been pound for pound one of the best. I'm just looking at Usman and I'm not on the same train as everybody else. It's so weird. It's like everyone is either Khamzat's going to murder this guy within 2 minutes and he sucks and Khamzat's so good, or it's like I'm taking Usman as a value bet, but he's past his. It's like either like Usman or don't like Usman. Like I don't know. I can respect Usman for what he is. His first fight against Leon, that was the best fighter I'd ever seen. I know he had tricky moments in that first round. After that, the way he was putting his jab together, mixed in with his wrestling, with his ground control, everything he did, that was the best fighter I've ever seen. Obviously, he got head kicked and lost it, and then the next fight was pretty unfortunate for him, but that first fight was the best fighter I'd ever seen. And now we're talking about him fighting Khamzat, a fight that had been talked about before. I just, in short notice, Usman is just so slow. And what's funny is actually before that Leon fight, I had always tried to fade Usman. I tried to fade Usman with everybody because I'm like, man, his striking is just so like wide and slow, and just everything he does is just like not great. If this were a 5-round fight, I'm probably looking at Usman because Khamzat is so talented and so good, but he's willing to just die out in 1 round just to show I'm that good, and he's so arrogant. So if this were 5 rounds, I'm going Usman's got championship experience. He's got the most EPO that one can put in a human body ever, and he'll go there. But now I'm just looking 3 rounds. I'm like, Khamzat's he's just more aggressive. He's just faster, more dynamic. He's younger. He's just about it. And, short notice, I would love to take Usman here. I actually think Khamzat's probably going to knock him out. Usman's just defense is not great. He's so wide open. People rock him constantly. And now you get, Khamzat, who's not afraid of his wrestling, who is going to stay in his face. I guess I don't understand the Khamzat fade because Khamzat just is good and he's only going to lose to the highest level. But I see a Khamzat knockout here.
Okay. First of all, Khamzat scares me. He got on a bus with us one day. Like him and Peter Yan. Those are the 2 people that scare me in life.
It's funny because Peter's like 100 pounds.
Oh yeah, like he's like 5 foot and like, but man, I don't believe in the boogeyman, but I believe in Chimaev and
the boogeyman.
Yeah, the boogeyman. Man, Khamzat gets on a bus and you just look at him and you're like, just head down.
Sorry.
Make eye contact. And his voice scares me. He's a robot. It's, I just, he doesn't move his mouth when he talks, and, this guy is shit, and I'm just gonna go kill them all. And you're like, what? But then he says stuff, it's scary. He's like, I kill their kids and your wife, and then I eat them, and you're, whoa, take it easy, man. We're just talking. So he's scared. That's all I have, guys. Like, I'm just scared.
Okay, all right, next fight.
Yeah. So, yeah, I thought, again, this is one of those, I was like, man, I hope Usman is a dog. He's going to win. Love it. He's going to stop him. The striking. He's got the cardio. He's got the experience. I can't wait to shout Usman from the rooftops. Watch the film, and I'm going to say, oh, no, I don't think I'm watching it. The thing is, I've actually liked Usman's striking as of late. I loved his Masvidal stuff. I loved his Burns stuff. I even call a combination after him. You know, the way that he fires a 1-2, and then he fires a 1-2, and then he fires it like it's going to be a jab, but then he turns it into this little slap touch hook, and then he fires that right hand behind it. So it just changes the angle a little bit. I love the way that he does that. He has a long reach. Cardio is good. Wrestling is good. Watching him throw Kobe around, just chest wrap him, lock him up, butt drag him.
So good. His wrestling defense is just
Wrestling's
amazing.
I actually think if it gets too much into a wrestling match, I think Usman's actually going to get the better of most of those
100%, I agree.
And defensively wrestling, though, I don't know that Usman is offensively going to wrestle a lot because I think it's short notice, and I think his knees are bad, and I don't think he wants to. But man, when he does want to wrestle, gosh, it is nice.
That's why I was thinking it was a stalemate. I said Usman's not going to go offense, but his defense is so good that Khamzat's not going to out-wrestle him, and he can't do it for 15. So now we're back to a striking match.
So he might try to do it right off the bat, and then it turns into Gilbert Burns, where he gets one takedown, he pops up, and then, all right, now we're striking. The thing is that if you look at Usman, like, he looks fine. If you look at Usman's fights 4, 5, 6 fights ago, and then you look at his 6th fight ago, then his 5th, then his 4th, he is slowing down in every single one of those fights. And in that last Leon fight, he looked every movement was so labored for him. And he just didn't look like the Usman that we're used to seeing. And it almost reminds me of Tyrone Woodley when he fought Kamaru Usman. Woodley was knocking people out. He was dynamic. He would
throw punches.
Yeah. And then he went against Usman and just was defensive and was slow and never returned. And it was like Tyrone was the top of the game, hit Usman, never came back. And that's kind of what I see. Not to say that Usman's never going to come back, but I think he hit that wall at 36 years old with bad knees, doing this his whole life. And he's used to fighting guys who are 2-3 inches shorter than him. He fought, his reach is listed at 76 inches, okay? Leon Edwards' reach is listed at 74. Colby's reach is listed at 72. All right, so he's fighting guys shorter than him with shorter reaches. Khamzat is an inch or two taller than him with a 75-inch reach, which, yes, is a little different. But he's taller, he's bigger, he's faster than him. And I think that that's going to be the difference right here in that hate in his heart wanting to fight. And so I like Khamzat here.
It's unfortunate because, I'm with you. I really wanted to be on Usman. And it's like, man, you're getting plus 200 on one of the best fighters in the world. And it's just like, yes, it could be one of those really good underdogs that's just going to lose.
Yeah. Yep, I think it is. I think it's...
For me, that was Volk the first time when he fought Makhachev.
Yes. Well, man, I thought he won that. That was crazy. I legitimately went back and watched it too, and I'm like, man, I think he should have gotten it. So I think he should have gotten the nod, but whatever.
All right, well then that takes us right into it.
Right into it. Perfect segue, ladies and gentlemen.
So you thought Volk won the first fight?
So I did think Volk won the first fight at age now 36. What impressed me most about Volk in that first fight, we kind of knew that he was going to outstrike Makhachev or whatever, make stuff good, was how well he defended wrestling, how well he wrestled with him, and how Makhachev wasn't able to just grab him and throw him down and control him like he was every other person. And now with this next fight, I think that is going to play big into Volk's hand because, first of all, Volk is always in shape. He's always training. He's that guy. I talked to some guys at the PI, and we're talking about, that's the UFC Performance Institute. So, and, I was asking the, dietitians and the strength and conditioning coaches and this and this and that. And I was talking about a bunch of stuff. And they were saying one of the biggest things that they see with a lot of the athletes is after camp, they just fall off. They stop training, they drink, they do this and that, they eat a lot, and then they have to go back into camp and kind of reset and do all of this stuff. And all of them were just praising Volk. They're like, this guy lives the lifestyle year round. And that doesn't mean that he won't go have a beer, or he won't go eat a sandwich or something like that. But like, this guy is always in shape. He's always doing the right stuff. He's the epitome of what we look for in an athlete because he's always there. And so that's why I think him taking this on 11 days notice wasn't that big of a deal. He was probably in the gym no matter what.
I think Volk is such an ultra competitor that he wouldn't have taken it if he didn't think he had a chance to win.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think he's not going to do it if he didn't think. Now, that said, though, he's probably at a good 85 to 90%, 80, 85, 90. I don't know. What I do know is he's not peaking because he didn't ramp up a camp to peak and do that. Honestly, though, it might actually help him because camps, some of the best performances I've ever had were 2-3 week notice fights. Camps wore me out and I always overtrained. Our good friend Kamuela, he's the worst for the camp. You give that guy camp, the longer the camp, the worse he's going to look. You ask him to show up on 2 weeks notice and he'll do it because he wears himself out in the camp. Volk is probably that way. He'll probably actually do better and be a little bit more durable.
You said something the other day. We were talking to a fighter that should not be named. And you were saying that like everything you have to do should be with intention. And that person just guns themselves out, trains themselves to death. And then I kind of was thinking about it. I was like, well, if you're in shape, like, and you can measure that stuff, your heart rate, your resting heart rate, you can do those as measurables. If you're in shape, you know how to fight and you can make the weight, then what's the problem? Like, why do you feel the need to push yourself 5 sessions in a day just to say that you did it? If you are in shape and that's measurable, you know how to fight, which Volk clearly knows how to fight, and you made the weight, or he's going to make the weight, then you should be good. You don't have to stress your body for 3 months, 2 months at a time, just to say you did it. So I think you're right on that.
Yeah, and I think that's going to give Volk a lot of confidence to go in guns blazing. And I think one of two things is going to happen. I think he's going to knock Makhachev out within 2, or he's going to gas, and then I don't know if he gets finished, but I could see Makhachev getting a finish on a gassed person. So, yeah, I think we've already seen them fight, so you already know how that plays out. And now it's all speculation of like a short notice, the camp, this, the that. I like that actually the fight doesn't go the distance, which is kind of both of those guys are. I mean, I think you would assume on a full camp that it would go the distance again. It would be very close like it was last time.
Yeah.
But I think Volk is going to come out guns blazing. I think he's going to be a little bit more durable. I think he's going to be a little bit better. My smart brain says Makhachev all day long. And I'm going to go contrarian here. I'm going to go with Volk. I know it's a heart decision, but I think there's something about the short notice fight for him that he's going to have the confidence. I think he's actually going to perform better at 55 without a camp than he is at 55 with a hard camp.
Yeah, I mean, logic says, and this is actually something that Chael Sonnen always said, and Chael's an idiot most of the times, but sometimes he says
a sensationalist, and so he says stuff for shock value, so I can't always take him seriously.
Yes, but this is something he did say, and it's always kind of stuck with me. So in a rematch, if the younger fighter won the first time, they will do the same thing the second time, but only quicker. And that's usually the case. Like almost every rematch you have, the younger fighter, if they won the first time. Yeah.
Well, I guess it wasn't quicker, but it was very dominant.
It was but yeah, exactly. Better, more impressive. Yeah, that's the perfect example. The younger fighter won the first time. They will win the second time, but just better, quicker, whatever, right? And so realistically, up a weight class, short notice, in Abu Dhabi, I mean, there's so many factors that say we have already seen this fight. We didn't even see this fight that long ago. It should be clearly Islam. Like, it's not even a question. I'm saying with my heart as well, the respect that I have for Volk is just so immense. I think he is the greatest fighter that we have ever seen. That's just my opinion. You can talk about GSP and Anderson Silva. I don't think any of them had as complete of a game as he's had, and the willingness to move up in weight and fight. A guy that's must be 30 pounds heavier than him. It's crazy. My respect for him is amazing. Immense, and his striking is insanely beautiful, and it's not even conventional, right? When we think of like boxers, and it's like a Devin Haney is just such a purely trained classical boxer and so clean. Volk's striking is wide and it's not perfect, and he'll turn away from punches and does things that are so imperfect, but he makes reads and he's constantly doing things that are just so impressive and so far past everyone else, right? You can say Izzy's the best striker. This guy's the best striker. Volk's the best striker, and he picks apart the guys you perceive as the best strikers ever. And, his thing was, bad takedown defense. Well, now good luck. Yeah, good luck. He's a bowling ball. Okay, well, we can submit him. Good luck. Ortega tried to submit him, popped his head off. Okay, good luck. I mean, the guy is just amazing everywhere. I think what happened at the end of that fight was the momentum started to shift. I think Volk learned how to fight him and learned what he needs to do to make Islam fight him. And the last thing I have to give Volk credit for is just his IQ. The guy clearly studies film, like clearly studies so much tape and reads and little movements and how can I do this? My fear is just don't end up in a body lock. That's it. Just don't get taken down and end up in a rear body lock, and we're good. It's frustrating. It feels like it's to me going to be the Peter Yan Aljo fight, where Peter's just so much better than him, but makes one small mistake and then loses an entire round in a body lock. If he doesn't do that, I mean, I just think he's probably better everywhere else. And so, man, Volk is just a man. And I think coming in short notice as extra determined. And I love when someone takes a loss hard. They just released the footage from his last fight and how he took it. I love when someone takes it hard. I love it. You shouldn't be happy after a win. Like Sadiq was on Twitter making jokes afterwards, and it pissed me off because I'm like,
yeah, it's like have a little pride, have a chip on your shoulder.
Yeah,
have a chip on your shoulder.
Be sad for a few days, and then you can go joke about it later on. But be sad for a few days. So with my heart, completely biased, 100%. So do with that as you may. I like Volkanovski.
Okay, man, that is it. That's the pod. We'll see you.